Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Well, I got a late start tonight because I been watching Mr. T for the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. The man is a dynamo, a dynamo. He just finished up a little town hall at Moms for Liberty. I don't know if you all got a chance to see that or not. And I watched the full interview, air quotes interview with Kamala Harris and her, I don't know, neutered Labrador, I guess, or he can go from happy hands, Timmy kicking his leg in the air, to sitting there like a hound dog at the snap of a finger. So we're going into the weekend, and I think I know pretty much what they edited out of the videos or the interview with Kamala Harris, a little operation that they didn't think was going to take off like they thought. So they thought better of it, and we'll discuss all that stuff. Hi, Doc. Hi, White Lightning. How you all doing? So it was interesting as usual, and Trump, he gave a little insight into his methods. He discussed one of the things that he does. He called it the weave, and I do that sometimes during my broadcasts. I'll talk about a subject, and I'll jump to another subject, and I'll come back to the first subject, and you kind of weave a story, and people take it as rambling, but things are interconnected, and you've got to repeat things, and you've got to show how things are interconnected. And people who have a what does Trump call them? A low IQ people, or people who just don't want to listen, take it as rambling. But if you want to have a conversation with somebody, he was talking tonight on the Moms for Liberty discussion, talking with Elon Musk. He said he's a different person. He really is. And he said he thinks while he talks. And you consider all the different types of people that Trump has run into during his lifetime. Heads of state, people who own big businesses, politicians, on and on. So when he makes note of somebody being exceptional, that's an exceptional note, wouldn't you say? But he said that when Elon talks, you can hear him thinking almost as he puts a sentence together. His mind is moving, and I found that to be interesting. Where Trump has got command of issues, and of course he repeats stuff so many times, it just kind of flows out of him. But again, today, multiple times, I put it in my thumbnail, and I misspelled it, but you can't tell. I misspelled the KiIIed word. He, KILL, and then ED'd them. He brought that up multiple times today, and he was talking about Biden and the 13 people from at Abbey Gate, Afghanistan withdrawal. He also brought up the 45 that were horrifically wounded that not a lot of people talk about, and he's laying the blame squarely at the feet of Biden and Harris. So the way I spelled that in my thumbnail to not get in trouble is K, little I, capital I, ED. Just a little hint for future reference. Those aren't L's in my thumbnail. Now, maybe I shouldn't give that up this early in the broadcast, because when they review your videos, they usually do 10 minutes and skip some, and Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I did it. So anyway, we'll live with it, won't we? Kim, how you doing? Gloria, how you doing? Sissy, nice to see you. Alan, Lone Wolf, Im, Raven's Wings, Debbie. Everybody's rolling in. That's good to see. Hi, Dwayne, how you doing? So I think there was an attempt to start a issue to carry over into the weekend to smear Trump, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. The picture taking at Arlington. They were going to make a big deal out of it. But I think their internal focus groups, these people have nothing better to do. Their jobs are to create narratives. And I'm not talking just about the media. I'm talking about these cabal politicians and people in the media and their surrogates and their employees. Their whole job, when they get up in the morning, you know how you work a job, you get up and you say, oh, I gotta get to the office and I gotta finish this paperwork and that paperwork. Or you get up in the morning, you say, oh, gotta get to the job site, I gotta pump the water out of that ditch before the inspector comes. People have jobs, where they have things they have to do, move their arms and legs, use their brains to have a company move forward and earn a paycheck. Not these people. They have a mission. And a mission is to create and promote a narrative, propaganda, and brainwashing. And it's all tied together. All tied together. Every major media, you all know it. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is for the sake of somebody new that might be tuning in. How would you like to have a very high-paying job and all you do is coordinate with other like-minded, and in this case, we're talking about Marxists, on how to undermine your opponent, how to make them look bad, how to deceive the public. Boy, what a tough trick it was to try to get Kamala to look good for this interview. The thing that's unnerving is they had some success. Yesterday, I wanted to put in my thumbnail the term vapid and pathetic, because that was my instinct from parts of what I heard and saw. But I said, no, I better not do that. I better wait till I see the whole interview and judge for myself. And to a discerning eye, it was vapid and pathetic. But to the general public who does exactly what I said before, go to work, have responsibilities, or they got to take their kids to school, or they got an elderly parent they got to take care of, and they're hectic, they can't pay attention and dig a little deeper from what the regular news puts out. It was a meh interview. It didn't take anything away from Kamala or give her anything. But that's a tall order to even get to that, and they managed it. Oh, she was thrown into the election, and she has the shortest time to mount a campaign and get her message out than any candidate in history. That's what they said last night. Well, if that was such a rush, why did they hide for 40 days? That doesn't get brought up. But instead, she's presented as somebody who hasn't changed their convictions or principles. Supposedly somebody has strong principles, not what they are, but they're strong in their principles, but they're vulnerable because they were tossed into this situation on such short notice. When the reality was it was a coup, and they got discovered concealing a non-compos mentis individual as commander-in-chief, putting the entire country and the world in danger and vulnerable to further Marxist infiltration. But no, that's not it. Kamala was just doing her job the best she could do, and then out of the blue, she gets a phone call from Joe while she's with her nieces making pancakes and bacon, and oh, Joe, you're stepping down and all the weight is coming on my shoulders. Oh, and my little niece with her little pigtails was watching me on TV. Boy, that's some high level psyops going on there. Wouldn't you agree? Hi, Andrew. How you doing? A Google account. Jerry. Melinda. Yeah, they're paid trolls. A lot of them out there. Valiant Thor. Yeah. Well, that's quite the description, Valiant. Welcome aboard. Yeah, well, did you all get a chance to see? I didn't know Trump was going to be at the Moms for Liberty thing tonight. I tripped across it on I was getting ready to go live earlier tonight. Rubber Toe, how you doing? And yeah, Kim, you can't hide your like a character, and people can see right through her. I'll put that up on the board. So I saw him talking there, and I said, oh my gosh, how long's he been up there? Because I pay attention to some court cases and things like that that interest me. I want to get updates on them. And I tuned in, and I only missed like 3 minutes. So I caught the whole thing. And I believe that now I heard from different interviewees, people discussing this big Kamala interview, that they actually were there better part of an hour, not quite an hour, maybe 40, 45 minutes. That's what better part of an hour means, over 30 minutes. And they used 16 minutes, 18 minutes, whatever the hell it was. I think they had made attempts to discuss that Arlington situation. And I know I keep bringing it up, but hey, Trump thought about it enough to bring it up multiple times just today. And he was very adamant and very angry about it, and he should be. They're the ones that caused the situation for other people's children to be in the cold, cold ground. And then they had the gall, G-A-L-L, look it up. Obama didn't have audacity, he had gall. And so do these people. They had the gall to try to smear Trump with that private service there in memoriam. Now, the pictures of him with the families at different grave sites were not meant to be publicized. Now, they're the families, and they can do with them as they wish, but they weren't meant to be integrated into a campaign or anything like that. And I see where one, air quotes, official put out something saying it's a shame that a ANC employee got maligned. You know, hush your mouth. Nobody wants to hear that mouth anymore. Who got maligned and who got abused was those families trying to have a nice time, a memorable honorable event, and it was tried to be turned into a political moment. Well, you wanted it, you got it. And Trump's going to keep bringing it up. But I think during that interview, when they discussed Tim Walz and his exaggerations and his stolen valor, I bet they edited it out. They probably brought that incident up and then replayed it and looked at their focus groups and their internal polling, because their whole entire job is to change a narrative. And they probably said, we're going to lose on this one. We better edit that out. Because to get down to a lousy 16 minutes, you've got to take out anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes at least, and just go, don't show that. It had to be bad to edit it out, because what they put up was just hollow, okay, and weak, phony. So it would be interesting to actually get the video of that interview. So anyway, it comes to the forefront. On my thumbnail, I've got a sticker people are putting on signs around mostly Aurora and California now. They've taken over, Venezuelan gang has taken over a hotel. They're collecting the money, and they're deciding who comes in and goes out, and multiple apartment buildings in different places, not just Aurora, are being taken over by gang members, and Trump's bringing that up too. And it's just the beginning. One thing that Trump brought up was that, the president has a lot of power. He was talking about straightening out. He brought up Loudoun County specifically. And he has got a property in Loudoun County. This is Virginia. And I'm thinking, well, what are we talking about that for? Oh, I remember. Loudoun County was where one of the early transgender cases came up, and a father got arrested at a school board meeting after this TG person, that's what I'll call them, trans and then gender person, assaulted a young lady, got transferred to another school, no real punishment, and then SA'd, you know what that means, SA, another person, child. That was Loudoun County. So he was bringing that up, and he said, hey, I can take care of it with your presidential powers. He said, oh, it's a lot of power, and I can take care of things with a pen. Well, that makes me feel good if who's wielding the pen is Trump. But I couldn't help but think about what I discussed last night. Joe stepping down and Kamala stepping up before the election. Or Joe just saying, oh, the hell with it, I'm going anyway. And I'll start using my pen. Mass amnesty. Sign the pen. Sign it with my pen. Of course, pardon his son and everybody else under the sun. All the 50, however many intelligence guys, pardon them all for treason. Pardons. And then mass amnesty. Maybe you'll do it before the election. Make sure you all get out and vote. Here is your mass amnesty. You are now citizens. Think I'm crazy? Well, there's a executive order that Biden signed. I'll tell you the number here in a second. I'll look it up in my studio. It is they're subpoenaing documents. GOP chairman subpoenas Biden officials to appear for sworn depositions on voter mobilization executive order. That's Brian Steele, Republican Wisconsin, representative Wisconsin, issuing a subpoena to 5 administration agencies about Biden signing an executive order ostensibly to help people get out the vote. What are you talking about? Sounds a little fishy to me. The House Republican is issuing subpoenas to 5 agency officials to sit down for sworn depositions that they failed to comply with previous congressional conditions to turn over their strategic plans to implement Biden's executive order on promoting access to voting. Have you heard about that? I'm asking the chats. Has anybody heard anything about this from any news agency? Or, hey, I might as well say it, any other creator? I don't think you have. Let me know in the chats. In March 2021, Biden signed Promoting Access to Voting. That's the name of it, which states that executive departments and agencies should partner with state, local, tribal, and territorial election officials to protect, promote, and exercise of the right to vote, eliminate discrimination and other barriers to voting, and expand access to voter registration and accurate election information. Republicans called it a federal voter mobilization effort with potentially partisan impacts. Oh, you think so? "15 cabinet secretaries are being subpoenaed, and they have to bring details for carrying out the order 5 months before the election." And he says a lot of them of the 15 have direct knowledge of how this operation was supposed to work. I'm just looking through some of your. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend frying bacon naked. That's not good. So anyway, what is that executive order number? Here it is. Executive Order 14019, 14019, particularly regarding the capability of provisions. The committee has concerns with provisions of the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. So gets into a little technicality, what the feds are allowed to do, okay, versus what this executive order is encouraging them to do. What kind of finish are we going to have, Tracy? Well, this week, I think we got to go week by week for finishes. The finishes that's coming up the big finish, Tracy, I'm afraid we've got some bumps in the road to go through. But once again, Mr. T put out that the fact that he is thankful and happy that he's able to participate. Remember how I said last night, Trump said he gets up looking forward every morning to helping save the country. He reiterated this at his speech and at Moms for Liberty. He said, I could go to the most beautiful beaches. I could be able to see the most beautiful oceans. I could relax. I could have a wonderful life. I've, got plenty of money and beautiful family and wonderful friends. And, but I wouldn't change anything. I'd still be going through what I'm going through. And I look forward to it. So that's a way of commandeering their joy vibe. Because I watched a creator who put up a montage from CNN, ABC, MSNBC, blah, 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 where they're all going, this is a vibe election. It's not about issues. How many times they said vibes, joy, happiness, vibes. Well, their vibe operation is puking out. Okay? And Trump is the one saying, hey, this is great. I'm a billionaire and I'm going through all this horse, you know what, but I'm still loving it because we're winning. We're getting through to people. Hi, Sandy. Well, thank you, Sandy, for going to buy me a coffee. I didn't get a notification for that until I tuned into my buy me a coffee page. I want to thank you. I got to watch it because I sing so good, it'll get me a copyright strike. But anyway, Nagin, I can't tell anybody's emails. Angela helped out. Mike and Bev. I want to thank you all. And of course, Gary and Pappy Two Bears and Lone Wolf helped out this month. And I do thank you all so much. So anyway, the other propaganda point they've been working on as they get together in their little work sessions and I don't know, Zoom calls. Wouldn't you like to be a fly on the wall for those things? Trump's too old. The only reason Biden quit because he's too old. Biden's last speech to the DNC, he said, I'm too damn old. Not that they were covering up the fact that he was unfit for office. Aside from the fact that he never won the office, that he's an illegitimate person, but that he's unable to execute his duties because his brain isn't there. What hadn't been there for years. They're covering that up with, well, he's just gotten too old. You hit a magic number. Now, isn't that ageism? Isn't that discrimination? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But it's okay when they do it. But they try to pin that on Trump. One panelist on CNN said, well, he's too old. Like Trump, he's just a couple of years younger than Biden, and Biden's too old, so is Trump. So that's the thing they're working on. But meanwhile, Trump is like a dynamo, flying all over the place. Today he was in Pennsylvania. I don't know how long he talked, hour and a half, 2 hours. had people come up, spur of the moment. Some guy tried to attack the stage. Trump was talking like he didn't even acknowledge it. But this weirdo, and some of those security guys, I gotta get a hold of Trump campaign. I'll teach them some come along, what they call come along holds, where you once you get a hold of them, there's no arguments, no resistance. It's like come along, and if you don't, you just increase the little bit of a twist here, and you got to know where to put the Ajax to them, and they come along. But anyway, they did a pretty good job. But anyway, Trump is just going and talking and going over subjects. And that's when he said about the weave. I weave my stories together. And they think I'm rambling, the low IQ crowds. But when he was with the Moms for Liberty, he referred to Kamala as a defective person. A defective person. And that's why I put that in my thumbnail too. Defective person. And one of the reasons was he brought up the Marxist philosophy she was brought up with. It's, I guess, congenital, you could say, because her father's a Marxist professor. And he made fun of a Marxist economist. Well, it's funny now. I guess you talk about it, but for the people who have suffered and lost their lives by the millions over a Marxist economist, it's not funny. If you find any surviving documents, well, after the Bolshevik Revolution, what happened to Russia, where they would come in your house, the local commissar, and if they thought you kept in your house an extra 5 pounds of potatoes, more than your family needed, you didn't give all your produce to the collective, guess what they did to you? You were counter-revolutionary and pew pew. And I'm not kidding you. You'd lose your life over a bag of potatoes because you didn't turn it all in. I wonder what chapter that economic method is on this communist book. So, a defective person, and he defined TDS. Did you all hear that? Thank you, Valiant. Went ahead and subscribed. There you go. Did you all even know he was going to be speaking at? You had one up on me because I didn't know he was going to be at Moms for Liberty night. He gave his Pennsylvania speech. I said, "Wow, he's probably going to go home and get a good night's rest. He worked hard on that speech." Tremendous crowd. He said, "Why didn't you give me a bigger stadium? I got thousands outside trying to get in." So, no, he went on Moms for Liberty and he said, "TDS, have you all ever heard of that? It's a terrible, terrible fate, terminal illness." It's a terminal illness, and it destroys the mind before it destroys the body. I thought that was funny. And he said, but it eventually gets everything. And he brought up something I brought up. They're miserable. They don't enjoy their lives. They don't enjoy anything when they get this terminal illness called TDS. Yeah, Valiant, welcome aboard. And what we do here is any keywords we just misspell them. We use zeros for O's, for a 3 for an E, like if you want to spell P3DO, because if you spell it with an E, I get in trouble. So just kind of keep that in mind. Sensitive words, we mess with them. So we get the message, but that the rhythm doesn't get the message. You see what I'm saying? Ha ha ha. So anyway, it's been overall a quiet week. And I think what they were trying to end the week on was berating Trump over his cemetery visit. And it fizzled out on them. It fizzled out on them. And their interview was defensive, like playing defense. Their offense going into the weekend was going to be that Trump was disrespecting Arlington National Cemetery. But I tell you what, now Trump, during his Moms for Liberty talk that he had, he described the situation. Now, he didn't, apparently, this claimed shoving match and physical abuse of a Arlington National, they call them ANC employees. That doesn't denote any military service, okay? Apparently, Trump didn't even know that was going on. But they tried to build it up. And as far as I'm concerned, whoever was involved in that needs to be disciplined. And just like the National Archives causing trouble and putting their 2 cents in with the presidential papers, helping stir up the Jack Smith situation, those people just need to be flushed out, gone. Either disciplined, apology and disciplined, depending on the level of their involvement, or terminated outright for especially the situation at the cemetery, disrupting a beautiful event that family really appreciated, the historical significance of Trump being there with them on the 3rd anniversary. And that employee had no business behaving in a disruptive and confrontational manner, no business. But Trump said it today that it was straight out of the White House. That controversy was stirred up straight out of the White House. Yeah, somebody tried to get on the stage, Wanda, but Trump didn't miss a beat. Ha ha, Gary, how you doing? Trump didn't miss a beat. They bundled him up and drug him out of there, and Trump just kept talking like it wasn't even going on. Just a freak, a liberal freak, which there's plenty of those out there, unfortunately. So anyway, we're going to see what happens with these hearings on the executive order that I mentioned, 14019, I believe, about supposedly ordering these federal agencies to get out the vote. That's what it sounds like. So, boy, it's awful close to the election to be, I'd rather have them speed it a while back, but you can't have information overload. Can't have information overload. You got to drip it out there. And when people start catching on and paying attention, then you could speed up the drips. So Tim Walz's brother, I didn't even know he had a brother. His brother is named Jeff Walz. I don't know if it's his older brother or not, but apparently he don't care for he doesn't care for his brother too much. He put out on X that he hadn't spoken to his brother in 8 years. Apparently, he got a little bit more. I don't know if he was, fed better or whatever, has his mind more conservative. But Tim Walz's brother, Jeff, hopes to get on stage at a Trump rally to expose his brother's, quote, poor character, unquote, adding that he's not someone you want leading the country. So, poor character, and like Trump said about Kamala, a defective person. Kamala's a defective person. So this was a response to somebody named Michael Spinelli from Jeff Walz. I don't know if he's an older brother or a younger brother. He says, I haven't spoke to him in 8 years. I'm 100% opposed to all his ideology. My family wasn't given any notice that he was selected, and we were denied security the days after. So here he's finding out his brother, his communist, pro-tranny brother that he hadn't spoken to in 8 years, he just finds out of the blue, he ends up being selected to run for vice presidency, and Tim Walz's security won't let his own brother contact him. Yeah, it's disturbing that they're getting close. He didn't get that close. He was screaming and yelling, and there was probably 6 or 7 guys pounced on him and booming and banging around the aisle. It was far enough away from Trump where you couldn't hear it on the mic, and Trump continued his speech uninterrupted. Didn't even acknowledge the action was going on. He might not have even been able to see it. Yeah. There's going to be skeletons coming out of the closet. I'm waiting for students who have grown up and looking back saying, yeah, I should tell somebody about that. But anyway, that my thumbnail picture, Libs of TikTok put that out. Caution, Kamala's illegals. And Libs of TikTok said these signs are now popping up around Denver, Colorado, as parts of nearby towns have been taken over and are being controlled by armed Venezuelan migrant gangs. The government has been ignoring the problem for months and abandoned their constituents. I've got one little article down in my studio where the governor of Colorado has accused the local mayor of Aurora, police officials, I believe, instead of mayor, of exaggerating about the apartment building takeovers. And they got right on the local news and said, no, we're not exaggerating it. They're carrying weapons we can't deal with. We need state help, federal help. This is more than what a local police force can handle. You got entire buildings full of non-citizen gang members, armed. But the governor is denying it. How many more situations are like that? I'm just looking at your chats here. Yeah, it's all about the gravy, the money. These gangs they're getting money hand over fist. They're probably getting EBT cards, cash benefits, food stamps, housing, and they're just going around extorting it out of the other migrants who are not part of the gangs. That's what's going on in Minnesota with the Somalians. They're getting ballots mailed to them, and these characters show up and just take the ballots and don't worry, we'll fill them out for you. Shut up, shut the door. And they get paid so much for everyone they bring in. That's in what's her name's district. So Team Trump put out, and Trump retruthed it. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, KiIIed and then LED'd the 13 fallen heroes of their botched Afghanistan withdrawal. And now their allies in the fake news are trying to make the story about me. They are truly disgusting, incompetent people. So he's putting it out on X. He's putting it out on all of his rallies and town halls, what they're trying to do. And I think they attempt out to smear Trump out of that interview. So Trump put out this 18-second clip. Look at Kamala. Every place she has touched has turned to, and he said the SH and that's it word. So he brought up that Reverend Graham does not like him using foul language. He said, but sometimes you just can't find another word. And I suggest he takes my method, of what I just said. SH and that's it. And you're not saying a dirty word, but you're getting your point across. Maybe he'll do, if he does that at one of his next rallies, you guys are my witness. SH and that's it. I didn't say anything dirty. And Elon Musk, Trump retruth, where Elon Musk said the U.S. Democratic Party as a whole has a massive incentive to bring in and legalize illegal immigrants as they vote overwhelmingly Democrat. No grand conspiracy is needed. The simple incentive of winning elections explains why they won't even deport criminals who assault police officers on camera, because that would mean losing those votes. Well, if you'll notice what I put on my thumbnail, I put the Harris campaign slogan right next to that bumper sticker on the back of the sign, not going back. Unless, the only ones not going back is the illegal migrants, unless Trump gets in. These people putting these little songs together, TikTok videos, we're not going back. What are they talking about? Back to what? Back to a secure border, back to jobs, a good economy. You don't want to go back to that. You don't want to go back to somebody puts their hands on a kid or says something lewd and lascivious. They get their rear ends arrested. I say rear ends and backsides instead of the ASS word. And maybe Mr. T will start doing that. You get a little country talk, your backside. Oh, they've done a lot to everybody, Gary. The demon rats. The collective damage is unbelievable. And people, the monetary amounts are so large that people just can't grasp it. I have to sit there and think about the billions sent to Ukraine, the billions given to migrants, the billions spent on housing for the people, much less the cash, the value of the food benefits, uh, the cost of transportation, jet flights all over the country, foreign aid, where, like Trump mentioned today, they raised it from 750 million to these Latin American countries to 4 billion per year. You add that up and then calculate it as a direct cost. If they'd have taken all the money and more, there's so much more waste and abuse and bribes, money laundering going on. You put it all together and pretend that you could give a stimulus check to every eligible American. I guarantee it'd be 4 or 5 grand easily that you could get in your mailbox, just like the past stimmy check, as the one girl called it, a stimmy check. Might even be 10 grand. For many people and families, for eligible recipients, it would be life-changing money for the better. But it's all evaporated. It's gone like smoke. And what it has done is lowered the value of the dollars you have in your pocket, if you got any, or your future dollars you're going to try to earn. Silent thieves. They make your dollar one day worth 80 cents, then 79 cents, then 75 cents, the same dollar in your pocket, through this type of printing, spending, incurring debt. So they get you coming and going. And Trump was talking about that when he brought up the Loudoun County thing, where he's got a golf course in Virginia. These local school boards taking away parental rights, claiming dominion over your children, calling you a terrorist, right? Little peanut local school boards. They don't need marching orders. They have the attitude in their head of superiority and the underlying philosophy that is Marxist. That's all they need. Low IQs and big egos. Put it in a pot and stir it up, and he got a Marxist. And that ties into what Trump was saying many times over and over again. Who are these people? In other words, who do they think they are? Berkeley, this college, the dean of Berkeley, Erwin Cheraminsky, put out a statement, and they report on him like he's a scholar. He wants a new constitution. They getting any kind of federal money to sit there and promote bashing our Constitution? Quote, the Electoral College is increasingly choosing the president who lost the popular vote. 2 senators per state is undermining our democracy. Berkeley scholar argues America needs a new constitution. Well, his ass needs to go out and get a new job. Of course they get the popular vote when you got box trucks running around from site to site wherever they're needed, full of pieces of paper that hadn't even been put in an envelope and they're filled out identically. It's not hard to win the count when you got that kind of operation. You've been practicing for years. Well, you remember, folks, on X, how many of you remember this little blast from the past? Because we got some kind of justice coming. The Krastensteins. Do you all remember this from, I don't know, 5 years ago? Where they, every time Trump would put up a tweet, when it was Twitter and Jack Dorsey owned it, and Trump was president of the United States, these Krastenstein brothers would have their response, foul-mouthed, insulting slurs, put on Trump's Twitter feed first in line every time. Do you remember that? The Krastensteins. Trump couldn't block them. A court said he couldn't block them. Foul-mouthed garbage. And they did it for years. Well, Mail Online News says exclusive. Democrat influencer twins Ed and Brian Krasenstein are accused of owning multiple prawn site domains years after brother advocated for more adult films. Well, at first blush, you say to yourself, well, I knew they were godless wretches and hedonists. The courts wouldn't even allow Trump to block filthy mouth nonsense off his page. So I guess, whatever. But then you look at the names of these sites. I won't give the whole address. Teen Pies. Teen Prawn 101. Hi, Dreamer. Oh, that sounds a little bit illegal. Wouldn't you say? Hi, Renee. How you doing? Oklahoma. All right. Nice to see you. No, I'm just looking through at what's going on with @Jack. Hi, Dreamer. How you doing? I'm just wondering what you're talking about of removing a comment. Oh, you're talking about, hi, Dreamer. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the Krasenstein creeps, I believe. Hi, Angela. Oh, you're not feeling good? Well, just relax. Rest your nerves. I'm glad you enjoyed last night's program or broadcast. Yeah, Krasensteins. They're tied into teenagers, okay? And they said that not allowing nasty pictures and stuff is fascism. Plain and simple, he said. We all know it. These NAZIs want purity and are terrified at the thought of other men. I'm not going to say. But anyway, hopefully, what did we learn from this Telegram situation? And by the way, I'm sure most of you know it, but that Telegram guy got let out on bail in France, 5 million euros, which he's a billionaire, so he can pay that. But he's not allowed to leave the country. That's what he gets for becoming a French citizen. But anyway, but what did we learn from this Telegram thing? That they can infiltrate just about every site except Telegram. They got the keys to go in the back door on every site but Telegram. So the Krasensteins can keep that in mind. Because if they are doing stuff with underage people, they're gonna pay for it, big time. Brazil's Supreme Court says anyone using a VPN to access X, Twitter, is subject to fines up to $8,874 a day. So Brazil's shutting down Twitter unless Elon Musk put somebody in charge of X in Brazil, physically in Brazil, that has access to all of X's stuff, which ain't going to happen. Breaking from Glenn Greenwald, Brazil's authoritarian censorship judge Alexandra de Moraes, or Egghead as we know him, orders X banned in all of Brazil within 24 hours. Also ordered Google and Apple to remove X from its stores within 5 days. Let me say, I didn't get any notifications. I didn't get any notifications yesterday, and I'm checking my notifications. I still haven't gotten anything. But Gary, if you're giving booms for, like I said, I don't know what's going on with my notifications, but I do appreciate. I want to thank you for your help. My prior broadcasts and all through the weeks, I do appreciate it very much, Gary. And I gave a big thank you to everybody that helped out with in the past couple of shows. Last night I didn't get any notifications. Here I'm looking at a picture of this leftist protester tries to rush the stage while President Trump is speaking. Police subdue him nicely, and they did bundle him up pretty good to get him out of there. Yeah, Angela. Yeah. Earlier in the broadcast, I was thanking, I thank Gary and Angela, Lone Wolf. Where's it at? Sandy, Negan, Angela, Mike and Bev, Pappy Two Bears, Lone Wolf. Yeah. Gary. Yeah. I appreciate it so much. But like I said, don't ever put yourself in a bind, baby doll. You take care of number one. So, yeah, Brazil is dropping the hammer on X. That just makes people mad, makes them all the more want to find out stuff. Did you all hear about the F-16 over in Ukraine? Was it shot down? Did it crash? Did it have a mechanical malfunction? How much does the F-16 cost? Okay. Well, I heard about it, and right off the bat, I heard that it was taken out by an accident with a Patriot missile battery. Oh, Patriot missiles, that's some more of our hardware worth tens of millions of dollars. So anyway, came out today that Commander of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Mykola Oleshchuk, was removed from his post by decree of Zelensky. This happened right after the story of the loss of an F-16 along with its pilot, which was attributed to friendly fire from a Patriot air defense system. And this is the second time he had I guess, embarrassing episode. He claimed he took out a Russian Su-34, and he showed some grass burning in a field, and it turned out he virtually shot it down using a video game and then set the grass on fire to pretend like he shot down a jet. But this time it was real, and the F-16 is gone and the pilot is expired. So he's been relieved from his post, and there's a steady grind of Russia moving forward in Ukrainian territory, at the same time frustrating and bottling up that offensive over in Kursk. And did you also notice Trump was alluding to the military-age men and the numbers, much like I was discussing last night? Like the Ukraine offensive is estimated right now to be at between 10 and 20,000 in Russia. And how many military-age men just from Venezuela we've got in this country outpaces that by 2 or 3 times. Much less all of them put together from 130 plus countries. So my concern is that there's going to be a black swan event. And I was going to say yesterday, my dad, and I mentioned it in the past, my dad always said, when things are going smooth, that's the time you watch out. And I used to think to myself, Dad, that's not a good way to look at life. When things are going good, you should enjoy it. But that would be the case if we weren't dealing with Satan on the rebound and walking the face of this earth like he has been over the past 100 years, especially in this country. So yeah, things are going quiet, things are going good. That's the time to get your antennas up. About to get real, Gary says. I believe so. I believe so. And if you're fortunate enough not to be around one of these towns or cities that is going through this coordinated gang activity, count your blessings and be prepared. And, a lot of people are saying, oh, they were getting made fun of for being accused of being preppers. You don't be prepared just because you think the world is going to have problems politically. Nature's got a little something to say about stuff like hurricanes, floods, snowstorms, thunderstorms, and knockout power for weeks. Tornadoes can happen miles from you, but knock out power in certain areas where you don't have power. So always have stuff. And this isn't a commercial because I don't have anybody sponsoring me except people go to buy me a coffee. I'm just saying make sure you get dry goods and food on hand. Have a propane tank from a barbecue filled up and a little propane stove from Walmart with a line you can hook up to the tank, and so you can boil your eggs and make your coffee and stuff like that. Oh, really, Debbie? You think that? When did they stop calling it the Big Apple? Because Trump's been around New York forever. I mean, a big name for a long time, 40 years. I'm just looking through and let me see what I got going on here in the studio. They had these two rappers. One guy, I guess his name was Annuel AA, joins Donald Trump on stage. A guy from Puerto Rico. Had Puerto Ricans representing. And this is going to be a cross-section of American culture supporting Trump, no matter what they try. Did you hear Kamala when they said Trump is doing the same old thing, just attacking people? Dana Bash said that. Nasty Bash. She said Trump just focuses on race and insults. How can anybody with a straight face that's supposed to be a responsible reporter say that when this man has been out multiple times a week for hours speaking to the people, doing individual press conferences, interviews, town halls, speeches over and over again, discussing the economy, discussing foreign policy, discussing the mental illness of transgender insanity, the effects on children, discussing men and women's sports. Oh, he just doesn't talk about whether Kamala's an Indian or not. But that's the way they try to shrink it down to. And we're getting sick of it. And just hush your mouth. We don't want to hear any more of your mouth. You want some reporting, fine. You can give some reports, fine. But if it's just mouth, we don't want to hear mouth. You compare Dana Bash, how she acted, her attitude when she interviewed J.D. Vance. She was smarmy. She was argumentative. She'd do a lecture with a question mark at the end of the lecture, talking down to him, probing, asking follow-up questions, arguing with his answers, disputing him. But with Kamala, wasn't that a wonderful day when your niece was watching television when you accepted the nomination? Yeah, it was a beautiful day. Oh, look at the differences. It is disgusting. Atlanta, FX chief financial officer heads to prison. Did you hear about that? Atlanta, Georgia, the chief financial officer is going to prison for embezzlement. Fox 5 Atlanta on you, Tizzle. At the same time, Fulton County Sheriff gives updates after jail security guards walk out claiming no pay. Have you all heard about that? It's all the same territory. They asked the sheriff how much back pay was owed. He said it's over $1 million. Fulton County Jail, that's where they had Trump report to. So I put in the comments, Tiffany Hanyard, give her a call. She'll help you straighten it out. Look at Tiffany Hanyard, the super mayor who peeled off $21 million. That's how much it was, wasn't it? 21 million? We're talking one little town in one little county. It's going on in many little towns in many counties across the country. But Georgia has got a spotlight on it. Fulton County Sheriff, he's the same one that Trump praised and said was a good sheriff and a nice guy. He's the one that said, yeah, we'll take a mugshot for you. We got a mugshot for you. Remember that? Ended up taking a very iconic picture of Trump. It's the same sheriff. He's got jailers walking out because nobody's paying the money to his staff. I'm sure he's unhappy about that. And the chief financial officer going to prison for embezzlement. But then you see Governor of Colorado dismisses armed gang takeover as figment of imagination. So how much grift and crap are we going to start seeing come out? Rasmussen reports. Did you all get to see their video they put up today? It's no surprise, but it says the religious back Trump and atheists back Harris. And on the thumbnail it says, is it a holy war? I would say, yeah. I saw where someone put in there that this is not a flesh and blood. Dana, why the long face? She's got that John Kerry face. It's just a little younger. That stretched out basset hound look. Jenna Tower. You mean Jenga? Jenga? Is that what it is? They pull out one block and it all comes falling down. Is that what's going to happen? So anyway, yeah, we got these subpoenas going on with the House. A new one with this executive order, I believe, is going to show massive federal election interference. We got Atlanta, Georgia. We're seeing indictments. We're seeing incarceration. Okay, and we're hearing that people aren't getting paid. Fannie Willis, I think things are going to be coming out about her pretty soon. But at the same time in the mix, we've got Trump is supposed to be going to his sentencing. He's got the debate coming up on the 10th. If Kamala feels like she didn't get her message out good enough, she can show up at Fox News on the 4th. 4 or 5 days from now, she can get there and Trump can say it to her face. But she don't want no parts of that. And I think she's going to try to get out of it by the 12th. Did you hear Trump say, he talked about Angela Merkel? She's no longer with us. I'm seeing what Gary's writing there. Broke it up, tri-bone or Earls. And he said about Joe Biden, he barely had a pulse. He said right now he might not have any pulse. I don't know. You have to go check on him. Ravens, why are you giving up on trying to chat? Just because I said the Kenya Tower or Jenga? Oh, Kenya Tower. All right. Don't give up. Keep chatting. Ha ha ha. Powers and principalities. That's right. So let's see. Sentencing, there is a hearing before sentencing on the 16th, and the sentencing, if it happens, is scheduled for the 18th. Scheduled for the 18th, about a week after this debate that's going to happen. So I was wondering what's going to happen on Friday. What are we going to go into the weekend? Is there going to be some big splash being made or something? I think they failed in trying to smear Trump about Arlington National. They probably did a dry run during this interview and then reviewed it and said, no, edit that out of there. Because Trump's at rallies right now calling us rumors, okay? And he's mad, so it ain't going to work out. So they go into the weekend. The big story is the flop of an interview. No joy, no happiness, no good vibes coming from the Kamala crowd. And Trump being a dynamo, being on the offense, and sitting down with Moms for Liberty, discussing parental concerns and asking questions like, who would be for open borders? Who would be for women in sports? Questions like that. Who would want their children to come home having been operated on with nobody even telling you? That's how we're going into the weekend. Oh, he mentioned Peekaboo James. She's about to go down. Good. But like I mentioned, when it does happen, it's going to be done in a way where Mr. T has clean hands. I think Georgia's getting cleaned out. Trump isn't touching a thing. All right, he's not even talking about it. And people are going down, and people are getting exposed in Georgia. In New York, I'm sure there's moves and counter moves going on in New York. I'm trying to see, Gary's got some kind of code going, trying to figure out. Oh, Angela. Okay. You talking about Angela Merkel? Yeah, this isn't political. It's biblical. And like I said, people getting fired, people losing their Senate seats or House seats, stuff like that is not biblical. Biblical is going to be something that happens that conveys a message that they can never do this again. They'll never try to do this again. Biblical equals stories that'll be told for the next 150, 200 years in high schools around this country and in other countries around the world. This is a worldwide movement. Nuremberg was not biblical. I think that's where the screw up was. The abuses of Bolshevik Russia, Stalinist Russia, Adolf Germany, okay, and all the little countries that participated, the abuses of humanity were biblical. The response upon our victory was not biblical. And that's why we're suffering right now. Because those principalities, those spiritual entities have carried on into this country and been much more sneakier about infiltrating our way of life. If they'd handled it in a biblical fashion back in 1945, we wouldn't be here today. If they'd listened to MacArthur, instead of firing him, go straight up into China and don't stop till you hit Beijing, okay? And they fired him. Now we're dealing with a civilization after Reagan left office where you weren't allowed to have more than one child. You had, and they ended up, God knows how many hundreds of millions of human beings were drowned in the rice paddies or because they were a girl instead of a boy. You could only have one child. They had young men sleeping with dolls because of the psychological damage of not having a wife or a partner. Now you can have two children, but that horror would have never happened. But anyway, that's another story for another time. But if people would do a little bit of research about the Bolshevik Revolution and what happened if they caught you with an extra 5-pound bag of potatoes in your basement, what they did to you. That's called price controls. But I will remind everybody, watch the movie Dr. Zhivago, look at it from a political perspective. What would you do if you came home to a communist society? When you left for war, you were not communist. When you came back from the war, you had a bunch of strangers living in your home, and everybody lived collectively. Watch Dr. Zhivago. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. And if nothing happens, I'll probably be up either Sunday or Monday. But if you're subscribed and hit the notification bell, you'll know when I go live. And the closer to the election, the more of these videos are going to be suppressed. You can see that right now, right this minute. You could see it through the last couple of weeks. Okay, they're being suppressed. So do me a favor and hit the like button. That helps defeat the algorithm. Share the video. Ask a friend to come along. They don't have to participate in the chats. They can just watch the chats go by. All right, and everybody, I hope you all have a great night, and I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.